Welcome and thanks for your interest in this virtual presentation. My name is Sandro and I'm the owner of the startup on video which developed the project named Mathematics on Video, briefly MOV. This presentation is based on the paper entitled About Web Learning and E-Commerce, the MOV Approach to Online Tutoring. And its main purpose is to show how the Tutoring Online Service described in the paper works in practice. So I will only focus on the operational issues. To take a deeper look into the project, you can visit the portal or email me your questions. So what's MOV? It's a web learning portal where university students, but not just them, can study maths and other scientific subjects by means of synchronous and asynchronous web-based, user-friendly and low-cost services. It's important to underline that all the services are fully usable through the web. No software has to be installed to access MOV. All you need is a browser, and you can access the browser by any kind of device, desktop computer, tablet, or smartphone. And yes, MOV is really easy to use, as you could verify in a few minutes.
Well, take a closer look to the Tutoring Online Service. It was projected taking into account the best practices internationally applied in private e-tutoring. Sites like TutorVista or Chegg have been a reference point during the MOV development. Essentially, it's a tool by which a tutor and a student can schedule a synchronous lesson and carry it out inside a web environment with an audio-video channel, a text chat, and a shared interactive whiteboard. So the service has two different but related phases: the lesson reservation and then the lesson execution, and both are performed by the web. How does the booking system work? There are two reservation modalities. One resembles the tools for the remote management of laboratories and libraries. It's based on web calendars and essentially is a first-come, first-choice procedure. It's the most used for the first lesson, but just since the second one, the students seem to prefer what we call a reservation by invitation, which is more similar to some procedures to access video conference sessions. Okay, let me show you how these modalities work in practice. In the lower left corner of the screen, there's the digital diary, the tutor personal page on the site backend. In the opposite corner, there's the home page, and you can note that a student is logged in. By means of a web calendar, the tutor can publish his time slots available for lessons. The P denotes time slots already published. The publication procedure is very simple. There are three types of availabilities. With the P type, the tutor requires a booking notification that he can extend up to 24 hours. With the double P type, he only requires the minimum booking notification, 15 minutes. Well, I'll explain the PI type in a moment. So, with these simple actions, the tutor publishes 2 time slots more. The student, supposed to be interested in online private lessons, clicks the Tutor Online button to reach the page of the same name. Then selects a subject, for example, statistics, and chooses a tutor. The tutor calendar appears, showing the available time slots. Of course, the calendar can be scrolled to look for other availabilities. In this demo, the student moves to the next week, selects 2 time slots and proceeds. To complete the procedure, the student has to specify the topics have to be faced during the tutoring. It suffers a brief description like this. Now, by clicking the Reserve button, the 2 time slots are booked. As you can see, we moved to another page called the Study Plan. Here the student can manage all the services he buys, including the tutor online. Note that the appointments also appear on the digital diary. Actually, these personal pages talks to each other in real time, so that the tutor can always keep up to date about the student activities and vice versa. For another example, suppose the student changes idea about the 2nd time slot and decides to cancel it. Then the appointment disappears from the digital diary too. Okay, I resume what we have seen in these few words. We have yet to discover what the reservation by invitation is. It's a fast and safe way to make a time slot available for a given student, avoiding the risk that such time slot has to be reserved by another student. Back to the calendar. Suppose the tutor wants to ensure that the 12 a.m., 12:30 a.m. time slot could be only booked by a given student. He should simply change the time slot type from P to PI and relate the invitation to the student. The invitation is only sent to the study plan of the selected student, who can accept it in 24 hours. If so, the invitation becomes an appointment. As before, the study plan talks to the digital diary, so the appointment is noted among the booked tutoring. In the same way, if the tutor cancels an appointment, for example the 2nd one, it disappears from the study plan. Well, now we do a jump ahead and consider the lesson execution phase, which takes place in a web environment called Tutoring Room. It's created 15 minutes before the lesson and shut down 15 minutes after its scheduled ending. The tutor and the student enter the room from the digital diary and the study plan, respectively. It's possible to enable any number of rooms simultaneously, so many tutors can teach at the same time. Technically speaking, the room uses the WebRTC technology that enables real-time, cross-browser, plugin-free audio-video communication, the Canvas API, an HTML5 extension that makes possible design and graphic manipulation, and the WebSocket protocol to implement the real-time data exchange between clients. Anyway, we go beyond these technological features and take a look to the tutoring room. 15 minutes before the lesson, the cancel button related to the appointment is replaced by the enter button. Clicking it, MOV creates the room in a new browser tab. As you can see, the room includes a fixed header with general information, a white shade and some dialogues. It's possible to drag and drop and downsize each dialogue, just as the tutor did with the chat box. Similar events happen on the student side. The only further action required to the student is the lesson payment, that he can do by clicking the Pay button below the Enter icon. Here the student moved and or closed the dialogues to obtain a comfortable arrangement. The tutor does the same and the lesson can start. The tutor can use the pen function to handwrite formulas, graphs, diagrams, and any other note. This function simulates the mouse movements on the sheet. As you can see, while the tutor writes, his notes are transferred to the student sheet after a minimum lag, so we can talk about a real-time data transfer. You should also appreciate the excellent writing quality, although it's produced by a mouse and not by an expensive digital pen. With the same method, the student can write on the same sheet. Both the tutor and the student can save the notes in a shared cloud folder that they access from their own personal page. For example, the student enters by clicking the shared folder button on his study plan. The whiteboard has 3 shades by default, but new shades can be created if needed, and with a simple click, it's possible to move from one sheet to another. The tutor and the student can also use different shades independently. An icon reminds them the sheet where they are, while a green label shows them the sheet displayed by the counterpart. Another interesting whiteboard function is the following one. The tutor will paste a previously uploaded PDF file, including didactic material. The document is immediately transferred to the student sheet 2. Note that once the PDF is on the whiteboard, it can be modified as an handwritten note. Finally, another useful function makes possible to transfer part of the note from a sheet to another. Here the tutor will select and copy part of the text in the sheet 1 and paste it in the sheet 2. As you have seen, the tutor also zoomed in the pasted area and dragged it to avoid overlapping.
I'll not show the other Tutoring Room features, but I'd like to touch upon the e-commerce functions based on virtual currency. The tutor line could generate many interactions and therefore many transactions. If the agents are charged by an online shop, they will pay commissions, fulfillment times will be required, and many useless money transfers will occur. Instead, if transactions are priced in virtual currency and carried out through internal e-commerce, commissions and fulfillment times can be reset to 0 and money transfer drastically decrease. This is what happens in MOV. Turning back the presentation, you may observe that almost each interaction is followed by a transfer of virtual currency that we call MOV credits. Well, that's all. Thanks for your attention and have a nice conference.